play some heckin' Smash Brothers Brawl.
Alright, I have been told that I am live, and that I should do my thing. Alright, so first off, bid war. Which tag has won?
By only a single dollar. We have the winner being the very appropriate LGBT.
Alright. Alright, so let's get this up super quick. Alright, so to introduce myself, I'm SWC19. I am currently kind of sick with a cold, so if I sniffle or cough, please excuse me. But this is Brawl, and this is the single-player mode in the game. So I'm ready to go whenever everyone else is. Would you want me? Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so starting off, we get to play as Kirby, and as everyone knows, when you play Kirby, all you do is just press inhale, and then drop down to the ground, and then win. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. Hoping for good RNG. But there we go. That's the whole fight. You know, you could do like fighting like you're supposed to do in this game, but you know, that's a lot of effort. So again, picking Kirby, partially because he's good, partially because he's already loaded, which will make load times a bit faster. That's going to be something that we're going to be doing a bit more later. Just picking the character that's already loaded just to make load times a bit faster. Just fighting some stuff here. I mean, if you're familiar with Smash, you know that characters have a lot of moves. Some moves are better than others. We're basically just going to be using a forward smash here. Just because Kirby's forward smash actually one-hit KOs these enemies with the beam swords. They're called pyramids. They're like the base enemy of the game. So the ones with the beam swords have a bit of a defense against all types of moves, which is interesting. So moves do a bit less damage on them. So moving into the first boss fight, Piranha. We're just gonna hit him a bunch, and that's the boss fight. So Kirby's hammer is super strong against this, and that's really about that. Alright, moving into the actual platforming part of the game. Because that's what this is. This is a platformer. So we get to play as Pit, who can fly, which is going to be useful later in this level. But first we get to face the loading screen. Load times are kind of long in this game, which is kind of annoying, but it's not too bad. It could be a lot worse. You need to break that box to move on for some reason. I guess it just introduces you to the fact that boxes exist. I was not ready for that item then. Speaking of items, they're both good and bad. Really depends on the scenario. In a lot of cases, the super mushroom, like what I picked up there, is going to be good. Just because you move faster, you do more damage, and it's just better overall. But sometimes it's not good because you don't really want to waste the time transforming into big. So it really depends, but in a lot of situations it's good. There's also the hammers, which have a chance to be broken, which makes the whole duration that you're using the hammer just wasted time. So hammers I probably won't be picking up unless I'm feeling lucky. So what I'm doing here is just setting up for what's called Skyworld Skip. Because Pit can fly, we can just fly over most of the stage. Did lose pretty much all my speed there, but we can back it up. It really just culminates into skipping this fight here, So that's a fight that I just flew mostly over. Never mind. A recurring theme with flying characters is skipping over fights. And we're going to be doing that a bit more. Fortunately, did miss it there just because pits flying is kind of difficult. You need to manage speed very well. You can lose it really easily if your angle isn't like really, really good. So surprisingly difficult skip overall, but that's alright. The fight isn't too long, but there's going to be more later. So picking Zelda and immediately transforming into Sheik. Even with this transformation time, Sheik is just a lot faster than either Kirby or Zelda, so it's worth doing. This whole section is just running to the right, and that's it. Very, very thrilling content. Gonna dash attack to save maybe a frame or two there. And again, picking Zelda, transforming into Sheik. Because that's what you do. We'll be introduced to Sheik later, it's alright if you don't know who obviously isn't Zelda or anything. Yeah, later in the game, the cutscenes introduce Sheik as like a new character, but you've been able to transform into her since all the way back here, so thanks, game. So moving through these sections, these enemies are kind of annoying here. They can throw rocks out at you, which do a lot of knockback. And of course, just getting hit in general is bad, so for the most part, those ones are fine. There's a couple that could have hit me, but they didn't, so that's good. Some of them pretty much can never hit you, like that one there. Moving into this section, we need to break these big black circles. They're called generators. They spawn enemies, and they're kind of annoying because they have a good amount of HP, but they're not too bad. Again, go through this section. All of these spawns are fixed, so I know where they're going to go. Now that I've shielded that rock, I can never actually get hit by it again, for some reason. If you get hit or like shield that boulder, you can't get hit by it more than once. And that's Sea of Clouds. There's some longer levels later, don't worry. These early game's kind of short, just for being sake of early game. So moving into Jungle, which is one of the most consistent levels for movement at least. There's a fight later that might not be as good, but the rest of it's very, very straightforward. It's just a lot of running to the right, and a lot of cannons, and so on and so forth. The cannon at the end is actually going to be positioned in a way that if I was to mash A, I would have died, just because I got there at a certain cycle. So I had to wait a little bit just to land on the ground instead of just cannoning to my death. So I'm going to run through here, jump up and over. Those red balls are called track balls. When you hit them, they go flying and can damage enemies and some other fun stuff. So they're going to be used a lot. Alright. And now we start the first of multiple lovely auto-scrollers. This one's fairly short though. So one thing to talk about is that in Subspace, characters are normalized in their speed, in that faster characters got slower and slower characters got faster. So later in the run you might see a character who's typically fast not going really fast. That's just because the game just made everyone similar speeds. There's still obviously faster characters than others, but they're not as fast as they would be in the base game, pretty much. There's also a matter of gravity is heavily increased in Subspace. which makes some moves like Pit's up B and Diddy Kong's up B pretty much useless, just because they're getting pulled down faster than they can get pulled up. So that might be annoying later, but probably not. It's generally not an issue. Alright, that's the end of jungle. That fight setup is somewhat new. Just doing the moves to KO all the Goombas at the same time. Looks pretty cool too. So Plane is half platforming, half fighting. First part's gonna be the platforming. Like most levels, it's just gonna be running to the right, but avoiding enemies, hitting blocks, all that fun stuff. So when I press shield and it like clanks like that, that's called a perfect shield or a power shield, and it lets me act faster out of it. Basically, you need to hit shield within the first couple frames of getting hit. So doing that just makes things go faster. If I know that I'm going to get hit by something, I'll just power shield it, and then the less lag will just make me move by faster. It's not a big difference, but it adds up over time. So here there's going to be 4 fights, hoping for good RNG, looking good so far. Good start. For this next fight, I can just stand in the middle and down smash twice. Those items are also kind of bad. They're called blast boxes, and enemies just get in the way of them. That's a poison mushroom. You can kind of tell. The poison mushrooms are a bit more purplish, or like more pink than the super mushrooms. Super mushrooms are solid red. Poison mushrooms are the opposite of super mushrooms. They make you smaller, do less damage, and slower, so obviously they're not good. Last fight here. This one's kind of annoying, just because of the positioning of the enemies and like the whole layout as a whole. So we'll just fly to the end of that. Alright, Lake is the first difficult level. It's going to start with a Rayquaza fight, and if it doesn't go well, it's not going to go well. It's really just RNG based on what Rayquaza is going to do for his moves. So we'll see. But basically, I'm just going to forward smash and do as much damage as possible. So that was a really good fight. What Rayquaza could have done is, there's 2 moves that are really bad. There's Fly, where it just flies across the screen. And then there's Dig, where it digs underground, then comes back up. For Dig, it can happen a couple times, which is really annoying. Fly is usually just 1 time. But both of them involve Rayquaza going off-screen, which is obviously bad because you can't do damage to it. So something unique about Fox, in Melee, which is the game before this, and this game, you can do what's called a shorten on his illusion, which is a side B. So if you press B after inputting the side B, you can shorten it, and that's helpful in a couple places here. Just to get the speed from the illusion, but also not get as much distance. So it is technically it's a frame perfect trick, but you have like 4 different frame windows to work with. So it's not used too much, but it's used enough. And it is kind of hard to tell when it actually occurs, just because all the animations except one are identical. So with doors, you can cancel any lag from them if you're in the air, so like this illusion here. But if you're on the ground, you can't. Which is interesting. Alright, Moving into the next auto-scroller, and I don't have too much to say, so if anyone's got anything to shout out, feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about some of those upcoming donation incentives so that we can hit that 10K. So, our next incentive on the list is the US versus Japanese version of Cybernator. Now, the Japanese version is winning by quite a wide margin, so if you want that US version, because you grew up with it, or you just like that version better, you should get that. You should get those donations in. But if you want something a little more close, we have the good versus evil sprites for The Legend of Zelda. Those with a much smaller donation, you could shift the balance. The good sprites are winning right now, but if you're like me and you just sometimes want to see the world burn, except for not really because you're raising money for charity, you can get those evil sprites. It's good to unleash your dark side sometimes. And of course, there's the always classic save or kill the animals. If you want those animals killed, clock's ticking, save is winning. So if you want to save those frames, those poor frames that are going to be sacrificed in the name of some silly animals, you should get on that. But hey, not a big fan of Bid Wars? That's okay, we got you covered. Are you a big fan of Kirby? That's a trick question. Everybody loves Kirby. Look how adorable he is. We have incentives for Star Allies, the ultimate choice, on the hardest difficulty. So if you want to see a difficult boss rush done really fast, you can put your money towards that. Or if you want to see the 100% run for Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, you can get that going too. And like, more Kirby is always best. Like, what I want you to do if you're on the fence about donating towards those incentives is Google a picture of Kirby right now, open a new tab, don't go anywhere. Open a new tab, pull it over to the side so you can watch both things, and just stare at his eyes and think what he would want.
Alright, so at the end of that auto-scroller, you know that I SD'd as Fox to get Diddy. This is the reason why normally this fight goes a lot better than this, but this is pretty bad. Gotta say. Bowser is just not cooperating. Come on. There we go. That took way too long. But anyways, basically what I tried to do there was a back throw just to get him off stage, and then down air just to spike him. But AI is pretty difficult sometimes, so that fight did not go as expected. That's okay. Moving on into Ruin Zoo, we have Lucas. And loading screens. Okay. So, this is another kind of long auto screen, but Lucas is pretty normal, really. We're gonna use him a couple times. Basically, his benefit is being able to use PK Thunder as his recovery, and with that, we can do a skip potentially later in the level here if I can use it properly. We'll get there when we get there, but in the meantime, you can do a couple things here. You can walk behind the statue. If you want. It's actually kind of difficult too, just because the distance between the hitbox and the statue and the blast zone that would actually like kill you is kind of far, or kind of not far. So you need to balance that. Lucas also had somewhat of a glitch where if you double jump and PK fire in the same frame, you gain a bunch of height like that, and you just go super high. Unfortunately, it's not useful for the run, just because you don't really get any horizontal distance. But it looks cool, and there's it's stuff to do. You basically just transfer your double jump momentum into a PK fire, and you get like a little bit more height than a double jump. So next boss fight, I accidentally picked Ness. I meant to pick Lucas, but that's okay. We get to mash more buttons then. Usually the cutscenes don't load that fast. So this is Porky. Kind of annoying. I'm just gonna press the down tilt button, which is pressing A lot. With Ness, you can just mash it. And basically as many times as you press A is how many times you'll do the move. So that's the fight. If I had picked Lucas like I intended to, I would have used down smash, which does a bit more damage, but that's okay. Gonna intentionally pick Lucas here. Just because it might not be as fast as Squirtle, but can be used for the skip later on that I mentioned earlier, so they're about the same speed overall though. Squirtle might be like a touch faster. So this fight is kind of annoying. A lot of it depends on where you first start. So if you start early enough, you get a good cycle. If not, it gets a little weird. I started with the weird cycle, but the Prime had jumped down, so it made it the good cycle, so that was good. This next fight, similarly, is kind of difficult. These enemies can either jump at you, kind of like slide towards you, or duplicate themselves. For this fight, you only need to KO the ones that had duplicate, or the original ones, the ones that like spawned in, and you don't have to KO any of the ones that get duplicated. You're basically going to be KOing everyone anyways, but there is a distinction. But that was a really good fight, and moving on to the last section of Ruin Zoo. So I'm going to kill these flows, not because they're annoying, but because they're really annoying. So I needed them gone just so I can do this skip, or at least attempt it. There we go. So if the flows were there, they would have intercepted the PK Thunder and just made the skip useless, So that was pretty good. That was Ruin Zoo. Doing that PK Thunder there just skips a fight, which it's a really short fight, but skipping fights is of course faster than doing them, no matter how long it is. But that is probably the hardest skip in the game, I would say. Like the hardest single fight skip. The hardest sequence of skips is coming up next. So this is Battlefield Fortress. We're gonna start off this Mark. Just runs. This is the only character that we could have used here, so we're gonna. When these Primids do the animation of their like arm like going straight back, that's how if you keep running into them, they'll hit you, guaranteed. So I need to shield there. If they don't, then it's fine and I can just run through them. And like their swing won't work. So a little damage boost into the door there. This is the only time in the run where we do not pick Meta Knight when we have the chance to. So that's a set your expectations for later for Meta Knight, because he's pretty good. But Marth in this fight is just good because his up smash is good, and it one hits every enemy. Well, just about every enemy. Most importantly, the beam primates, which I mentioned earlier, are a bit stronger than the rest. I did not want to get that hammer. Let's see what I can do here. Alright. So I needed to be Meta Knight at the end of this anyway. There is a setup that we do to KO the last enemy with Marth and die afterwards, but because I had the hammer, it was kind of weird, so we have Meta Knight, and now I'm going to do what's called auto-scroller skip. So I'm going to skip the first fight, start the second fight, go back into the first fight, take one of the primates from the first fight with me, start the auto-scroller. Once I get to a certain point in the auto-scroller, I will KO the primate from the first fight. That'll unlock the camera, and put me on a timer to get to the end of the room. So it's a really complicated trick, and I don't really know how or why it works in the way it does. Just some camera shenanigans, really. And that was the last fight I had to skip. It has a really weird trigger, and I did miss it. So basically, I'm just gonna sit here, wait off to the side, and wait to die. Like I said, there was a timer. That would be the end of the auto-scroller. So once the auto-scroller officially ends, the camera tries to lock back where it should have ended, and because you're not there, you just instantly die. And you don't spawn back where the auto-scroller was, you spawn back where you were, which is pretty nice. So it's pretty nice if you still miss like the end of auto-scroller skip or something, you don't really lose that much progress. But doing everything there correctly is really difficult, so I'm happy I got enough. Alright, so now we're Meta Knight. And these minecarts are actually the fastest gravel that I know in the game, for horizontal at least. So we're just gonna sit here, wait till it to go all the way to the end, and kick off the end of Battlefield. Meta Knight's Tornado is a bit faster than his dash, so I'll be using that fairly often. Alright. There is one more fight skip at the end here, which is deceptively difficult. It requires you to have an angle going over the top. If I was to do that straight flat, it wouldn't work, but that one did, and we're all good. So Battlefield Fortress is one of the most difficult levels just because of all the fight skipping and all that stuff. So here in Forest we have the option to pick between Yoshi and Link. Link is probably one of the worst characters in Subspace, so avoid him at all costs. Yoshi's really good, so... There was one more. There we go. That primate on the left didn't have to be KO'd to end the fight. Alright. Some more fights, some more egg rolling. So for some reason, sometimes those things hit through egg roll. It's kind of annoying, but it happens. This one I want to hit me, so I can damage boost into this fight. With Yoshi's egg roll, if you are off stage when it's finished, you'll go into what's called Special Fall, and you won't be able to do anything, and it's bad. Would not recommend. Special Fall generally occurs after you do a uppie, or like a recovery move. And you can't do anything until you hit the ground. So avoid it at all costs. Some more egg roll in here. Ladders are really slow in most cases, so I'm just going to be jumping up those, especially with Yoshi, who has such good air movement. So you can throw enemies in this mode. That was scary. I clipped through the floor there too. But you can throw enemies, and sometimes that's better than actually attacking them. Onto a research facility. Get to play as Zero Suit Samus. For now, at least. She's not bad, but the character we get next is just better. That character being Pikachu. So Pikachu has a couple of things. He's fast overall, but also has what's called a quick attack cancel. Basically, if you quick attack into the ground and then jump, you kind of keep your momentum and don't have any lag from the quick attack. So it's used for going across horizontal distances a lot faster than just running or using side B like this. Pikachu's also pretty strong. So we're gonna pretty much be using Pikachu where we could be using Zero Suit. So I'm going to do a bit of a sequence break here by hitting a button that starts the next part of the level. In this level, the basic gist of it is that you need to clear out some of the walls and floors before you can actually finish the stage. So that was the first one. I think there's 2 overall. Only. So this is the next one. We got a little bit of an auto-scroller here, but if I stand in this position and crouch, I'll be fine for the whole thing. Or we can also just down taunt, because that lowers Pikachu's hitbox, and we won't get hit. Alright, back to the game. It's a little bit too far. Alright, moving on. Moving back here is actually really difficult. It's just weird. There's a lot of ledges that you can't grab and and it's just not fun. But moving on to the next part. Quick little climb here. Really easy with Pikachu. With Zero Suit, it's a lot more difficult. So these are metal Primids. They're stronger than regular Primids, but they also reflect any projectiles that you throw at them. So they're a little annoying. And just make my way to the end of the level. And that's it. Alright, the hardest single split in the game up here. Lakeshore has 2 fights, and they're both really, really bad, so we're gonna hope for good RNG. Honestly, that's really all I can hope for here. First is gonna be Dark Zelda, who has like a really good AI for some reason, and it's just a pain, so we'll see how this goes. What I'm trying to do is get her to the left side of the screen so I can hit her off the knockoff, or the walk-off. But that's easier said than done. Thankfully, green shells are good, so. But yeah, that's the first one. The second one's a bit easier, but still it's difficult. It's gonna be the same strategy as the first one. It's on the exact same stage. Just hit them off to the left and KO them faster. So we'll see how that goes. The loading here is super, super long for some reason. The enemies also jump a lot when they get hit, which is kind of annoying because I want to hit them on the ground, of course. So Yoshi's gonna jump there, hit him again, hit him again, repeat forever. Please? Almost. There we go. Alright. That honestly wasn't that bad, but those can go a lot better. It's just really a matter of RNG. Gonna pick Yoshi here. I could have picked Pit to glide down to this fight, but they're basically the same thing, so it's alright. Alright, so next is these fights. These things are kind of annoying just because they have weird spawns. That was good though. Alright. Totally not a lightsaber here. Been getting a lot of green shells this run. Those are usually kind of rare. Alright, this cutscene's kind of long, so I'm gonna turn it over to the hosts. And if we got anything to talk about.
Let's talk about the Trevor Project. They do some really good work. I'm just gonna read off some numbers here because, like, I mean, I can talk about how good they are forever because I can, but like, numbers are like they're numbers. And how do you be wrong with numbers? So let's talk about what they've done. So as we know, the Trevor Project is an organization that works in crisis prevention and crisis and suicide prevention for LGBTQ youth, and they have served 75,000 people. Think about that number, 75,000 people. That is a ridiculous number. Like, I'm gonna guarantee everyone in chat, like, I don't think any of you have even met 75,000 people, but the Trevor Project have helped 75,000 people just from calls, chats, and texts. They've introduced legislation in 34 states against conversion therapy. 34. Now, I'm no math expert, but 34 is most of 50. That's most of the states. And did you know that Trevor Project runs Trevor Space, the world's largest safe space social networking site for queer youth? Do you know how many youth? And I say largest, but I bet y'all want numbers. I bet you want to know how big largest is. Well, largest is 175,000 people have used Trevor Space to find a safe, affirming online community. That is, like, they do some amazing work, and your donations are what help them do this work. So make sure to donate. If you just $5 could be the different, could save someone's life, literally. And even if you can't donate, that's okay. If you have any friends or Twitter, maybe consider telling them about the event. Maybe tweet us out. Anything you can do to help the event really does help out, even if you can't give any money. If you have Twitch Prime or if you have some bits lying around, those will also go to the Trevor Project. They won't make the total on stream go up, but the money will still go, and that's what's important.
Yeah, for sure. Great charity, great project. Alright, so the end of Lakeshore really wasn't anything special. Wasn't really much to do there, just a couple fights and a bit of movement. That was a little fight skip there with Lucas. That's considered the easiest skip in the game, even though I missed it last night, so got it today, so I can say it's the easiest all I want, because no one saw me miss it. Path of the Ruins is a... It's not a bad stage. There's a lot of fighting, and the fight at the end is kind of really weird, so hopefully that'll go well, but... So I'm trying to hit these buttons in a way that that Lucas doesn't actually go into a little cave where the button is. That loses a little bit of time, so I hit him kind of through the wall there twice, which worked out. Hit some stuff, hit some more stuff. These enemies are really annoying in that when you do enough damage to them, if they're not in hit stun, as in like if they can do an action, they grow, and when they're growing, they're invincible. Obviously when an enemy's invincible, it's not fun, so... That's a bad mushroom. Alright. Okay. There we go. Lucas can do a little bit of momentum with his magnet like that, but I went the wrong way somehow. These Armites are terrible enemies. One of the worst in the game for sure. They do a lot of knockback and damage. They also have a move where they're also invincible, so they're just really annoying. But they're fairly weak, so it's not that bad. So moving into the last part of this stage, we have the Wario fight. I'm gonna go for a strat. We'll see how it goes. This is a difficult strat here, in that it's all RNG. The strat itself is easy, but getting Wario to go where I want him to is not. Alright, that worked perfectly, so basically just grab him and throw him in the blast zone. The alternate to that, it would be to use PK Fire to keep hitting Wario into the pillars, and then eventually just up smash. That's a bit slower than this if you do this like first try. Alright, back into the cave, back to using Yoshi. Because Yoshi's good. Mostly using Yoshi just because of the egg roll. You get a lot of movement to the horizontally, but it's also pretty strong, so... That's not good. Alright. When Koopas are in their shell, they're still considered as in the fight. So they need to be off-screen completely to end the fight. Even if they're just like in their shells, they're not considered defeated yet. So that's kind of annoying. Those pillars are always the same. And now we got a bunch of egg rolling. So again, I'm just gonna throw these enemies off. This fight really doesn't matter how slow you go, as long as you catch that last enemy right as it's spawning. Because it'll spawn it at the same time anyways, so it's alright if you wait a little bit to get the other ones. Alright. Rolling all the way to the end here. Fight some Goombas. And that's just about the end of Cave. So that's a mostly platforming level. It's one of my favorite levels for the movie, just because it's a lot of Yoshi. Following that up with one of my least favorite levels for movement is Ruins. Right at the beginning, I'm going to try and go as fast as possible to get an early cycle. We'll see how that goes. It's kind of hard to get. If I don't get it, that's okay. So drop down here. Dash attack this enemy. Hold on. Alright, barely got it. Cool. So that was the early cycle. You barely squeezed through. If I can get back onto the track. There we go. These spikes that drop are really weird. But anyways, I did pick Squirtle instead of Lucas because of that early cycle. Lucas can't do that as far as I'm aware. Plus, we're going to be going back to Lucas anyways, so it's alright. So I saw in chat that all challenges was mentioned. What that is a 40+ hour run of this game in which you get all of the challenges, which includes Classic with all characters, All-Star with all characters, Boss Battles with all characters. You do a lot of stuff, and it takes a lot of time. And I did a run of that last year. It took me just over 50 hours. It's long, and it's difficult, and I'm probably not going to be doing it again anytime soon. But what's a game without its really long category, right? So anyways, I switched back to Lucas, just because we're going to be using him in the fights later on. Once we get through this, I'm going to do a little bit of a skip. So there's going to be a door here. I'm going to go in it, and then leave immediately. What that does is it moves the camera down, or it doesn't move the camera, it removes the moving floor, so I can just fall down. That's faster on easy and normal difficulties. It's not on the other ones because the platform moves faster anyways. The higher difficulties, the auto-scrollers are faster and the enemies have more range. That's really that's really all they do. Also, buttons last less long. So there's going to be 3 fights here. First one's easy, the second one's easy. Yeah, I always miss those. For some reason, they just don't like to get hit. With these enemies, as you can probably tell, they're only vulnerable when their red core is exposed. So you gotta wait for them to expose it. So moving on, it's gonna hit a bunch of buttons. He's gonna open the doors that we gotta get through, etc., etc. Come on. Alright. Gonna jump through the enemy. This fight is also difficult, kind of similar to Zelda. Charizard just has good AI, I guess. It does not like to get KO'd. So I'm just gonna try and grab him. There we go. That's not what I wanted to do, but it worked. I meant to just back throw and spike, but any way to end the fight faster, of course, works best. So as always, if we see Meta Knight, we pick Meta. So, really haven't had a chance to talk about Meta Knight yet. He's got Tornado, which is good. He's got Shuttle Loop, which is really, really, really good. We'll see that way more later. Shuttle Loop also leads into a Glide, which, as we've seen earlier, gliding is good, but with the momentum you get from Meta Knight's Shuttle Loop, it just makes it so much easier. Way at the beginning of the run, I had trouble with Pit because Pit doesn't have a move like that gives you a bunch of momentum immediately, but Meta Knight does, so it makes that just a lot better. Gonna use it again here. Oh, missed it. That's okay. It's not super important to use here. So if you might have noticed, Meta Knight disappeared for a long time. So that's what's called Infinite Dimensional Cape. If you use Dimensional Cape, which is the down B move, and you mash up smash, so keep pressing up on the C-stick, you do what's called the Infinite Dimensional Cape, and you stay invisible and invincible as long as you're mashing up. And it's faster than Tornado and like all the other stuff, but it can only be used on very level ground, or else you get out of it. So that's going to be used 2 or 3 times in the run, and it looks cool just because Meta Knight is completely invisible. You can also just do it into corners if you want, but it doesn't really help. So there's a bit more to this this level. First fight here, there's a bit of a setup that I can do to one-hit KO these giant pyramids. You can stand on a spot on the floor, then down smash, and it'll one-hit them. You can also glide through this whole section here to avoid all the cannons a little bit faster. Alright, next boss. As always, pick Meta Knight. You can use Marth here, but it's a little bit worse. Basically just using neutral air to finish off the boss. There's not really much to it. So I really hope you didn't miss that boss, because we're going to fight him again. And if you thought that was a lot of damage at once, Well, here you go. Here's Charizard. So Charizard's Rock Smash pretty much just invalidates bosses. It's really strong. And that's the whole boss fight. Very, very quick split. So next we're going to go into the second wilds, where we can do a skip. This is called PAL skip, because it only works on the PAL version of the game, for reasons that nobody knows. I missed it. Let's try that again. It's worth restarting to do it again. I was just off by a jump there. So anyways, this is called PAL skip because it only works on PAL. There we go. So jump over the fight, move through what should be an auto, and we die at the end here. So if I was on NTSC, that would have put me back at the beginning of the level, but on PAL it puts me at that point, which skips an auto-scroller in a fight. There's no real rhyme or reason to it, it just works. There's also one similar later. It's just a situation of where it spawns you after you die. It's different in this game, or this version. But that's really the only difference. Everything else is cosmetic, really. Names of things, mostly. Yeah. Come on. We can do this. We can do it. Hard to skip. Jumping over the spikes. But anyways, I flew over another fight there. Right at the end of that tunnel. That's a really long fight, so it's good that it's extremely easy to skip. That is actually the easiest skip in the game. Path to the Ruins one is second. Because this one takes no effort. You just press up B and go to the right. Anyways, that's Wilds 2. Now we go back to back with two of the hardest levels in the run. First is Swamp. Gonna pick Fox because he's fast, of course. I did not mean to shorten there. That's the shortest shorten you can do. There's no sound. You actually go out like that. So I mentioned in chat if PAL skip might be tied to frame rate. I don't think so, because this game supports PAL 60. So I am playing at 60 FPS right now. It supports both PAL 50 and PAL 60. But this should be on 60, so. But it might be an issue with how it interpolates that frame rate, I'm not sure. The PAL skips are kind of just something that we accept and don't really question. They work, and they work. There's really one other place where there could be a skip, but it doesn't work on any version. I'll briefly mention that later. It's towards the end of the subspace section. So similar to the Ruins, we're gonna go up into the door and out. That just moves the camera up this time. So we get a little bit less auto-scrolling time. I've played way more Brawl than I have Ultimate, honestly, so I'm used to this more. but I can go back and forth in between the two games. Really, no problem. All right. Another really fun fight, Giant Diddy. So I'm gonna roll back and hope that I don't get hit. That's the whole strat for the fight. I got hit. That's what I did not want to happen. Come on. This fight has killed many runs. For some reason I can't grab him. Oh boy. There we go. Alright. That Diddy is extremely annoying. If it doesn't go well, then it's really bad, but you can just throw him off the side, like a lot of other fights. I was just having trouble grabbing him with Fox, which led to my death twice. Anyways, now that we're done with that, we have the rest of the swamp. So this is just going to be a lot of cannons. There we go. That's good cannon movement. This room is actually my favorite in run. When you are on a spring, you can regain your double jump. And also go out of any special fall you might be in. So you can just keep chaining illusions back and forth. You can also do a little damage boost here. Okay, that counted. We'll make this work. Okay. A little messy, but springs are interesting. Alright, now we sit for a little bit. This is an auto-scroller broken up into a couple sections. So the auto-scroller part, then there's a fight, then there's the auto-scroller, and the level's over.
So time for donations?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we have a few here. First is from Ellie Razor, who sends $5 with the simple but perfect message that just reads, "I'm gay." Me too, Ellie Razor. Me too. We have a $7 donation from Explazan. Messed that up yesterday too. Sorry about that. This is for the nice number, and to get Ariomart, the link to the VOD. And I can tell you that I have in fact delivered, Scott, I don't know if you were paying attention, but I have in fact delivered Ariomart a link to the video of your All Challenges run.
I did see that, yes. Very important. Everyone go watch that and suffer for the 30 plus hours that I have video of. Don't actually, but if you want to, you can.
After the marathon, of course.
Yeah, after the marathon. Spend 2 days and watch through a game.
Then we have $5 from Mish the Fish 4. Bay, Ariomart told me to donate. Then there's like 8 pride flags, and then good luck, friends, smiley face.
Alright, so here I picked Zerasu at the beginning just because of this thing. You can down air through the ladder just to go faster. That's literally the only reason why I picked her. Other than that, both Pikachu and her are the same speed. So next is the Dark Samus fight, and this is annoying, so we'll see how it goes. Come on. Alright, that was actually really good. So what I did there is use down smash, which sends them straight up, then use thunder, which also sends them. Samus's only purpose in this run is to die, which is a little unfortunate. That's not true. In this level it is. But she's used again later. She gets to redeem herself. But this room is one of the most difficult in the whole run, just because of this trio of boxes here. Got a really lucky damage boost that let me not die. I might have grabbed the ledge, but I also might not have. But anyways, we're out of that. So like I said, after we get out of this, Samus is just going to jump off and die. So what that does is changes my respawn point with Pikachu to be right here. So I can hit the button and continue with the stage. If I didn't do that, I would have to do another fight and some other boring stuff. I got greedy with the taunt. Alright. Gonna do another sequence break here. This gets me right to the end of the section. Again, that skips a fight and some other stuff. And now we can go straight to Ridley. So, this stage has the distinction of getting both of its main enemies into a fighting game, into another Smash game, with both Ridley and Dark Samus. Ridley is extremely annoying, so we're gonna hope for good RNG. That's a really good move. Like Rayquaza, Ridley has a lot of moves that move him off the stage, and that sucks. I don't know if that's a good mushroom or not, so I'm not gonna pick it up. I don't think it is. And no, not yet. And that's the fight. Samus is not good in this fight, so gotta use Pika. Alright, so those were the two some of the two hardest stages in the run overall. Swamp and Research 2. So now we go into a little bit of a break here. We get to play as Falcon again. Or we get to play as Falcon full stop. This is the first time. So, like I mentioned earlier in the run, everyone's speed's normalized, so Falcon feels a lot slower, or he is a lot slower than he normally is in Brawl overall. Which kind of sucks, but it happens. Just jump over everything, because that's difficult to fight. Also, Olimar is the single worst character to use in Subspace, so be bad. Alright, DK. We're just gonna be really annoying and spam, because that works. See, so if you want to run this game, all of your practice from when you played as a kid, mashing down B with DK, it's gonna pay off, I swear. That was a bad mushroom. I saw that coming. Thankfully, down B is still really strong. Alright. The interesting thing about Subspace is that characters that are generally not considered top tier are good in this, and vice versa. Except for Meta Knight, he's broken in both the base game and this game. But like Falcon is one of the best, and he's competitively he's awful, but in subspace he's really good. So it's fun to use lesser used characters. This movement is some of the hardest in the game. That's alright. Kind of a bad cycle, but it's okay. It makes use of what's called shuttle loop cancels. If you land on a platform with shuttle loop, you can cancel it and move immediately after, which is pretty cool. So we do have another bit of auto-scroller here, so if we have anything for, feel free to plug some stuff, read some donations, whatever you got. If this was on, there is a strat that is currently banned in easy difficulty, which is what this is, to start the level in easy, and then game over, and then go into intense, which is the highest difficulty, because that makes this auto-scroller so much faster. And even though it's on intense, it still makes the level faster overall. But it's not allowed in easy just because it's not really easy, it's intense, but that is a strategy used in the New Game Plus mode. New Game Plus being after you complete subspace, you're allowed to redo any levels with any character you want, and New Game Plus uses other difficulties just to get through the levels faster, with pretty much only Meta Knight, but there's some other characters too. So I've been picking up stickers and trophies and anything. There's also a collectible called the CD, and those actually lose time if you pick them up. So when you leave subspace, which I'll be doing a couple times later on, you get a pop-up that's like you collected XYZ CD. And it loses about 2 seconds per CD. But haven't seen any of them, so nothing to worry about. Trying not to get frozen. But I did. Alright. This movement's a little bit awkward. Alright, so Meta Knight versus Lucario. Kind of difficult for multiple reasons. The stage is weird, the AI is weird. What I'm going to try and be doing like usual is abusing block-offs. Like so. And just down smash them into the last zone. We'll be seeing that very soon again afterwards. Or after this. So for Canyon, it's just one fight. That's the whole level. So, gonna pick Yoshi, like we have been. Just because Yoshi's good. And that's a bad mushroom that I'm lucky I did not pick up. So it's just going to be a lot of up smash, really, because that's a good move. Got these giant pyramids. Another poison mushroom. These gliders are really annoying, but when they go off screen, they're considered dead, so it's okay. It's usually one more that spawns afterwards. Yeah. Just takes a long time to spawn, so if you're able to KO them immediately, it's good. Alright. I didn't want to get the super mushroom, but it didn't matter. So moving on into Battleship Halberd. So there's 3 levels here. Interior, exterior, and bridge. Interior, we're going to use Snake for a little bit. Snake's not that good. He's really not fast. So I'm just going to be dash attacking a lot. Because that works. Basically just a matter of not getting hit as much as possible. And not doing that either. Anyways, now that we're out of Snake, back to Meta Knight. Because, of course, both Lucario and Snake are very bad in subspace. Lucario is also one of the worst. So, the objective of this part is to destroy 3 generators. And move on. There actually is a skip in this part that you can do with Snake, but it's really, really difficult, and no one's really done it, so it's not worth going for. Anyways, just moving through here. That's the whole section, it's not that bad. So next we're going to go into a fight. So Meta Knight is actually not that good at fighting, doing damage in general. So I'm just going to try and hit these enemies off of the stage instead of actually KOing them. It makes them just a lot faster than having to bother with KOing them. One more enemy. Alright. So now we have a really dark and spooky dark room. Ooh. Can turn the lights on, but there's really no reason to, because it's not that dark. Oh, turn them on anyways. The game heard me complaining, of course. It doesn't matter if you turn the lights on or not, it's not like it adds lag or anything. This section, KO 5 enemies. Move on. Did a double kill there. Looks cool. It's actually 6 enemies. Alright, so similar to the Lucario fight, this is going to be Dark Zelda and Dark Peach. Going to be doing the same strats I did on Lucario, hopefully. Ideally, I would want them to bunch up and be in the same spot together, but that's easier said than done, of course. Of course, I got hit. And these AIs are pretty annoying. Come on. Alternatively, you could use Shuttle Loop. But we're going to be seeing Shuttle Loop a lot more later. So, these fights are usually not this bad. There we go. It's really all just dependent on how the AI wants to behave. And it's really out of my control. I can only do so much. But if they get items or something, it's kind of just over. Anyways, introducing a brand new character, Sheik. We totally have not seen Sheik before. But of course, we're going to pick her, because better than Peach. Peach is very bad for movement. But we have outdoor platforming for wind, and it's really annoying. But now we're inside, we're going to go outside later. Almost. There's a damage boost there where you can hit the button with hit of Vanish, but it's really difficult. I've only been able to do it a couple times, but that was really close. Run through this gallery of enemies, and into another fight. Having this curry is kind of not good, because it moves the enemies, so I can't really hit them. That creep is really, really annoying. So I've yet to mention it, it's really not that relevant here, but the camera is not forgiving at all. If you get hit and you go off stage, you're pretty much, or off screen, you're basically dead. If you've ever seen a run of Melee Adventure Mode, the camera is really forgiving there, in that you can kind of just get hit and the camera will still move. Camera fixed here. So it's kind of annoying. But there's not too many situations where that's relevant. There's going to be one more later. So picking Snake because he can put out a lot of damage, even though he's really slow. Duon is kind of an annoying fight. Depends on RNG, really. This is pretty good RNG. Not the best fight I've had, but pretty okay. Alright. So I was doing what's called the Dacus. It's a dash attack cancel up smash. You basically just transfer a lot of your dash attack momentum into an up smash, and because Snake's dash attack is so long, he gets a lot of momentum off of it. It's mostly used there for movement to get to the boss, but it also does a good amount of damage. So here's Samus's Retribution arc, where she's used for about a minute total. This is one of the few stages where both characters are good, like are both recommended, so it really just comes down to runner preference to what they want to use. I like Samus better. I just find doing the this fight at the end a lot easier. So Bomb Factory 1 is meant to be a maze-like level, but if you know where to go, you just finish the stage super quickly. We're just gonna forward smash a lot. There's a lot of bombs here. Alright. Alright. On to the hardest stage in the run. Subspace Bomb Factory 2. So, gonna pick Falcon and then pick Diddy. Just in case I die with Falcon, Olimar would have been the next pick, and I use the extra input to ensure that I'm not completely messed up if I die with Falcon. So Diddy's a decent alternative. Ideally I won't be dying, but just in case. Alright, that was actually a really good fight there. I believe all of these fights are the same spawns every time, so there's really no RNG with what gets spawned. So I kind of know where to go, what to fight, and all that stuff. So here we need to hit 3 buttons. First one's going to be up top here. You can hit buttons with items, with some items. The beam sword is one of them. Mr. Sadden's getting a workout on the treadmill there. Alright, onto the fire section. There's going to be one little skip here. I can do a damage boost onto the sled to get through most of the fire. If done correctly, you get through all the fire. The camera likes to lock up there very often, but I'm lucky it didn't that time. If it did lock up, I would have to jump out of the sled, taking more damage, and just making that take a little bit longer. But all good. Alright. So, here's a long fight. I'm just gonna start with running away. When these the birds go off stage, they just are considered KO'd. And it's nice. If I didn't do that, they would just drop to the floor and be a little bit longer. Like before, these enemies are really annoying. Hey, KO them out, all 3 different types. You can quick kill these. They're vulnerable while they're spawning, but because I had a bunny hood, I jumped way too high. Alright, so into this next part, I'm going to set up for a skip. This is a really hard skip. Should be good. Alright, that should work. Let's see. There we go. So that skips about a minute and a half of an auto-scroller. And I mentioned earlier that there's another paddle skip. That's it. It works on NTSC, but not in the same way. On NTSC, you don't get KO'd, you instead fall. And you still skip the autoscroller, but you still have to kind of make your way through it instead of just spawning at the end. But that was the one skip I was worried about. I'm happy that I got it, because that one does save a lot of time. That is the newest skip found in the run. I believe it was found sometime last year. I don't remember exactly. But I SD'd into DK here because he's going to be used in the next fight, and it makes loading faster because he's already loaded in. It saves about 7 seconds just being DK in the beginning of this fight. So Meta Ridley is one of the easiest bosses, honestly. There's a couple moves that are annoying, like that one. It's not that bad. Alright, we have 3 more stages, and then we get to everyone's favorite part of Brawl, Great Maze. First is entrance to subspace. We have a selection of everyone, so we pick Meta Knight, of course. Because why would you pick anyone else, right? Alright, so there's a couple things here. This is just an auto-scroller, but there's a couple quirks about it. So there's these generators, right? There's this next one. This generator is destroyed, however, it's still spawning stuff, so generators are broken. Yeah, generators like to spawn things after they're destroyed for some reason, because that is fair and balanced. It usually only happens on the first one, sometimes it does in the second one, and it often happens on one of the ones here as well. So setting up for the longest fight skip. Gonna get a bunch of speed, and then just fly over 3 consecutive fights with Meta Knight. And we're good. So I mentioned earlier that there is one level where there could be a skip, but there isn't, and that was in the previous level. The very first fight, you can fly over it, but you can't actually progress past it, even on PAL. So, unfortunately, you can't skip that one fight. So in Subspace 1, the goal of it is to pick up characters that you want to use in the end of the game. This is not what I meant to do. There we go. But because we're not going to really be using any of this character, I pick up 3, mostly for movement, or yeah, for menuing optimization. So first one's going to be Pokemon Trainer. We're going to actually use Pokemon Trainer once in the run, or twice actually. Next is going to be DK, picking up purely for menuing purposes. And I'll mention that once we get to Maze, actually. Same with Marth. They're both for menuing. Moving on through. Also, I picked Ness here because Ness is bad of the 3. All 3 of these characters are bad. but Ness has a bit of movement, so that's cool. So similar to the very beginning of the run, just gonna inhale, drop down, fight over. And that's Subspace 1. Now we're in Subspace 2. And Kirby is the only character we can use because of lore reasons that I'm not going to get into. That's a whole nother event. Maybe next marathon I'll submit a cutscene percent where we can all watch the cutscenes together and actually learn about the lore. But yeah, Kirby's actually not a bad character. We don't get to use him much because we have better characters, but overall, it's decent. So I did pick up Meta Knight there because obviously I need to. It's Meta Knight. I picked up Meta Knight, right? I hope so. This is the final auto-scroller of the whole game. It's not even that long, too. So, congrats. You've made it through all the auto-scroll. We skipped a whole 2 of them, which is really nice, because that's a lot of time saved. Alright. Now with that auto-scroller out of the way, we got one more fight here. This fight's really annoying just because of the layout of the whole stage. There's usually always one more that spawns afterwards, like... And moving into the final part of this level. Easiest fight in the game. So what I did there was, I jumped into the middle of that enemy, and it gave me my jumps back so I can get my 6 jumps again, and then just use the hammer on it to KO it faster. Alright, and that's Subspace. So now we have 30 more minutes of the run, roughly, in the Great Maze. So if you played this as a kid, you hated Great Maze. I'm not even going to say might have, you definitely did. It's a mess. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of fights, and it's just difficult. Thankfully the route is very streamlined, and it gets every fight without having to do much backtracking. A little bit, but that's kind of inevitable. Not mean to do that. These doors you can warp and heal off of, so I might be going here later just to heal in case I get hurt. But here we go. So for pretty much every fight, the strategy is going to be dash attack into shuttle loop, like that, and it KOs enemies very easily. If not, a second shuttle loop might be required, but that's it. That's pretty much all the fights. But some fights are different. Some layouts of the stages are different. and that really has a big effect into how easy the fight is. So Pit required a second shuttle loop because of what his AI does. Most of the AIs are going to be similar. So for here, Kirby's probably going to jump at me. Kirby jumped at me, down smash, missed the shuttle loop, but we can follow it up with that. Pretty much anything combos into shuttle loop, which is really nice. Including shuttle loop itself, so we'll be seeing that a lot throughout Maze. So Link is a really fast fight, you just dash attack and shuttle loop. This part's actually really scary to glide, because if you get hit by a bird, it's really easy to die off the top. So that's why I waited for that first one to drop before I started. Get a tornado. Go back and forth through these rooms. Use some animation cancels to break the blocks there. One more time through. And then we have the Yoshi fight. So hopefully Yoshi's going to jump at me from the right, and I'll shuttle loop, and then Yoshi won't be able to recover. So we'll see how that goes. Perfect. So that's how that fight goes 90% of the time. It's really bad, so it didn't go bad, so that's good. So next is Diddy. Diddy is a really difficult fight because the layout of the stage is very odd. So I do have a strat for it, so we'll see if that works. Good enough. Alright. So I'm going to go into the store and then leave immediately. Like I said earlier, these are warps, so I'm going to be warping back here 2 fights from now. The first fight is going to be Captain Falcon. Falcon is kind of a weird fight. He's a bit heavy, so it's difficult to KO him as fast as others. That wasn't too bad. You kind of just need to do a bit more damage to him. Gotta flex the infinite dimensional cape just because it can. Can use that one more time later. Something that annoys me about this is that Olimar, who is not a Kirby character, has Meta Knight's music. So explain that. There is Pikmin music in the game. It's not used in this fight. So okay. Anyways, I reset. So I'm gonna go back into where I said I was gonna warp earlier. Picking Charizard because, as we saw earlier, Charizard is broken against bosses. Okay, Pikmin music might not be good for a fight, but it makes sense at least. Olimar is not Meta Knight. I mean, at least like put the music from the stage that Olimar was in. But oh well, that's over. So I SD'd there as Squirtle because Meta Knight. Charizard did his job. Where am I going? First, we gotta do Snake, who, very similar to Falcon, is difficult to kill. So put a little bit of more damage on first. Because Meta Knight is how I sell this game. What's good about this game? Meta Knight. You can either take the top or bottom path, it really doesn't matter. I think top path is a bit faster. Alright, Game & Watch is odd. So something odd about these fights is that the heavy characters are light and vice versa. The Game & Watch is not a heavy character. He's like one of the lightest in the game. But it's more difficult to KO Game & Watch than it is DDD or like Bowser or something, which is kind of weird. But anyways, now that we're out of Halberd, where I got lost like 4 times. Now we fight Meta Knight. Meta Knight actually has a really good AI. It can effectively recover, which is kind of annoying. But if we just KO it like that, no big deal. Now we get to glide again. Learning how to glide properly is actually really, really difficult with Meta Knight. It's so easy to lose all of your speed. But once you're able to do it, it's super, really fluid, and it's just nice. That was a weird hitbox, but it worked. So obviously I need to be careful to not KO myself, because not being Meta Knight is not good. So I need to be a little bit more careful while doing fights, because if I miss a shuttle loop or something and get KO'd, I play DDD, and DDD's not good, so... DDD isn't bad, but it's not Meta Knight. Alright. Finally through that. Just a lot of tornadoes. Nice. Just not gonna bother. Alright, so I'm really hoping that Porky does not do a lot of damage to me, because I kinda don't want to die. That being said, I'm gonna tank all of Porky's hits, because that's fast. That's faster than avoiding it, but that was really good RNG. Alright, so I'm actually at a really good health point here that I don't really need to worry about healing. That's probably going to bite me later, but that's okay. Normally I only heal here from over 90%, because the next few fights are somewhat safe. Could die there by shuttle looping too high, which lucky I didn't. DK is... we'll see how it goes. Yeah, that happens. DK is a difficult fight. Most of the time, I just need to intercept its recovery. Okay, so we're gonna be back there later in that one room that I just walked out of. That's where the final boss is. Samus is normally heavy, but it's light here. Alright, this is possibly... I would say this is the second hardest part of Maze. Just the whole Pikachu section. It's not too bad, but it's a little annoying. So similar to Kirby, I'm going to down smash when Pikachu jumps at me, and it might work. It did in fact work. That's good. Pikachu is a very difficult fight to do quickly like that. So I'm going to glide to the end here because it's just a little bit faster. Drop all the way down. Alright. More buttons to press. Up next is the easiest fight, theoretically. I say theoretically because if I mess up, it's a good cover. Alright. Hello, Rob. Goodbye, Rob. So Rob is special in that he can die in one shuttle loop without anything extra. Yeah, Rob is the easiest fight. Sometimes his AI is different, and it doesn't stay in place, but most of the time it's cool. Alright, moving into Ridley. Should not die here, probably. Pretty much always does this move first, which is nice, because it gives me more chances to hit him. After that, it kind of varies. I don't really like how much damage I've taken. Do a quick heal. Healing costs about 10 to 15 seconds, but it's absolutely worth it compared to dying, which takes possibly minutes. So I'll just be safe here. Alright, I meant to hit the button to get rid of the gas, but that's okay. So, this is an exact copy of what was of the same tunnel in Path of the Ruins. Except now we're going the opposite way. Alright, here's Bowser. Bad RNG. Usually what I do is that, but without getting hit first. Alright. Another carbon copy from Battlefield Fortress. King Dedede is also very light for a heavy character. Case in point. Now, someone like Game & Watch would never have that. Alright, Falco is next, and Fox is after that. These are difficult fights sometimes. But if I can take Falco's jump like that, the fight's over. Who's the fastest? Sonic, Kirby, Roadrunner, or Flash? Flash is objectively fastest. Alright, so that was not that bad. Fox is also kind of hard. He just likes to start off with like random moves, but if you can hit him, no problem. But yeah, multiple people have lost runs to Fox and Falco like that too. Some more gliding because it looks nice. Alright. Meta Ridley. Same as before, really. Except even a bit easier. Good. Getting hit by that move does about 80%. And it's really bad, so happy I didn't get there. So no need to heal again, because I'm at a really good percent. Mario is a strange fight. I keep saying that, but, like, it's true. But, now that I took his jump, I did not, somehow. Okay, that's special. I swear I got Mario's jump. So like that, like I mentioned earlier, if you are not safe about your shuttle loops, you can die. Thankfully, I'm right next to a spot where I can get Meta Knight back, so it's not that big of a time loss. But it is enough that it kind of sucks. That's okay. We're about 2/3 of the way in maze? Halfway? I don't remember. But yeah, getting Meta Knight back here is way faster than having to go through the whole next section with DDD or any other character, so totally okay with that. Alrighty. This is the hardest part of Maze overall. It's kind of short, but it's just difficult. There's a lot of stuff that can do a bunch of damage. If I can get over this, perfect. Alright, so I'm just gonna jump here to not get targeted by the row turret. Just like that. Glide all the way to the end. So this room is difficult. If I get hit here, I'm basically taking like 80 plus damage. So I need to not get hit here. Alright, made it through. Hard fight. Or hard room. You basically have to either KO everything, do it fast enough that doesn't matter, and I just have to do it fast enough. Come on. Alright. So taking a lot of damage really doesn't matter, because I need to go into this door anyways, because again, I'm going to be warping back later. And healing maybe adds like a second or two, it's not really a big deal. So we're going to go up and go all the way to the left here. And fight Charizard. Fairly easy fight. Drop down, try and catch a cycle. Nah, I'm not gonna bother. That cycle is really hard to catch, and if you're in the wrong position, you're not gonna make it. Alright. Zelda is probably the hardest fight in Maze, just because her AI is really good again. Don't really know why, but we'll see how it goes. There we go. Just had some bad hitboxes, but that's cool. Still didn't take any percent, which really doesn't matter because I'm going to be resetting after this next fight, but still good to lessen my chance of getting KO'd here. Let's pretend that was intentional. Come on. Peach is surprisingly a difficult fight. Now I'm gonna try and... I've done that before, and she just got back to stage, and I'm not gonna deal with that again. Alright, so second and final reset. You can trip in subspace, however the percentage is, or the odds of doing it, are lower than usual. The trip than it normally is. I believe it's like 4 times less likely. Something like that. Alright, so now we're kind of just wrapping up the rest of it. There's not too many fights left. Well, that worked, unintentionally. So Luigi's stage is unique in that it doesn't have any platforms, which makes killing with Meta Knight a bit more difficult, but it should still be okay. Sometimes he just jumps. There we go. Sometimes he just jumps at you, and it makes it a bit easier, but didn't there. Kind of just anticipated it. Alright, so basically need to be Meta Knight for this section because any other character is terrible. So good that I am. This climb is very, very bad with any other character that I have right. Alright, on to Rayquaza. So he's gonna dig. Mentioned earlier, that's not a good move. For kind of obvious reasons. You can dig up to 3 times, so obviously I don't want him to do 3. Of course he's gonna do 3. So I'm gonna use a warp to get back to where I need to be. And now we're gonna go to the final leg of Great Maze. First is Lucas, which is going to be very similar to Ness. Kind of just getting them through out of their recovery, because they're extremely vulnerable then. This is almost identical to the one in Glacial Peak. I say almost because a bit of the platforms are different. Oh boy. There we go. Those clouds were not happy. Alright, we got about 6 more fights. First one's Ice Climbers. This one is not fun most of the time. That's actually kind of weird. Their recovery did pretty much nothing there. Like, both climbers were there, but their recovery was as if there was only one. That was weird. But regardless, I've lost a lot of time on that fight multiple times, so that's nice that it was done quickly. Alright, Ike is a very easy fight. Generally, if it doesn't go that way, and you just shuttle loop him off stage, he doesn't recover, so you just wait for him to fall. But that time, it was a bit different. Actually, probably made the fight a bit faster than normal. So I'm going to go into this door, then leave to reset the falling ceiling that's on the right here. Waiting for it to hit the bottom and then hitting the button is a little bit slower. That Primeman almost always trips. That's a third and final use of Infinite. Perfect RNG on Marth. That is the best thing that he can do. Alright, one more fight and then final boss and we're done. So Ganon has lost a couple runs before, which kind of sucks. Especially because you're at the end of a run. But it always happens. Okay, here we go. So, time is on the last hit of the boss. And, yeah, here's Taboo. So Taboo likes to teleport a lot. Obviously not fun because I'm Charizard, who has no momentum or no movement. So I'm just hoping for him to stay close to the ground and stay in one place for a while. Next, this should be off waves. No, not yet. Next one's gonna be off waves. Yep. It's usually always around the 4th or 5th attack he does. And obviously if you get hit, you die instantly. And... time.
GG.
GG. So let me get through the credits real quick just to check out the in-game time. The in-game time still increments while credits are rolling. So yeah, that's Brawl. I hope y'all enjoyed. A little bit underestimate. The in-game time is it's fairly precise to what the actual RTA time is. So, including the resets, a 209 would probably be anywhere between like a 209.20 and like a 210.20. So that's good.
You have a your RTA is 209.57. Got there.
Ooh, perfect. Yeah, so that's Brawl. It's kind of an underrated speed game because when people think Brawl, they think bad Smash game, and that's as far as it goes. Subspace is really cool. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with a lot of characters, mostly Meta Knight, etc., etc. If you're interested in running it, I have a tutorial for any percent, which is what I ran today. It's almost fully up to date. There's just like one trick that's not in it, but if you want to check that out, go ahead. There's a Smash Speedrunning Discord. You can just message me for help. All the Brawl players are super welcoming to the community for new players and etc. Mostly because there's not a lot of new players, so it's really fun when someone actually joins. So yeah, so that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the marathon for having the run. Thanks to everyone for watching and enjoying it. So yeah, see ya.